If you've ever dug into a patch of your garden and found no earthworms, you know how disappointing it feels. Healthy soil should almost wriggle with life. Earthworms are more than just a gardener's delight. They're the engineers of fertile soil, constantly aerating, cycling nutrients, and leaving behind castings that act like nature's finest fertilizer. So why is it that in some gardens they're everywhere, while in others they're completely absent? The truth is simple. Earthworms only go where the soil offers the right kind of food and shelter. And today, I want to share with you the one thing you can add to your soil that will have earthworms flocking overnight. Gardeners often assume that fertilizers, whether synthetic or organic, will make soil conditions better for earthworms. The reality is quite different. Fertilizers feed plants directly, but do little for the creatures that live in the soil. Earthworms aren't after nitrogen, phosphorus, or potassium in bagged form. What they want is organic matter they can chew through and decompose. In other words, worms show up when there's food available in the form of decaying plant material, microbial growth, and carbon-rich residues. If your soil is bare, compacted, or regularly dosed with chemicals, worms simply won't stay. If you truly want to attract earthworms fast, the best trick is to top your soil with a thick layer of organic mulch. I'm talking about materials like shredded leaves, straw, grass clippings, or even wood chips depending on what you have available. When you spread a blanket of this over your soil, it does two things immediately. It keeps the ground moist, and it provides a steady buffet of food for soil organisms. Within hours of laying down mulch, microorganisms begin breaking it down. Within days, earthworms detect the feast and move upward to graze. The most powerful example I've seen is with fall leaves. Pile them up around your beds and come back a week later. You'll find worm tunnels just under the surface and castings scattered like little black beads. The worms are essentially telling you, yes, this is what we want. Unlike fertilizers that wash away or fade, mulch is a renewable, ongoing food source that draws them in and keeps them active. Another soil booster that earthworms simply can't resist is decomposing kitchen scraps, particularly fruit and vegetable peelings, coffee grounds, and used tea leaves. These break down quickly, release moisture, and create a microbial bloom that worms follow. But the key here is to use them wisely. Don't just dump a pile of scraps on the surface and walk away. That attracts flies, rodents, and smells. Instead, trench compost them. Dig a shallow trench between your rows, bury the scraps, and cover with soil. Within days, worms will move in and begin feeding. One season I tested this in a pepper bed by burying weekly buckets of kitchen scraps. By mid-season, the soil under those rows was so alive with worms that I couldn't push a trowel in without slicing through a tunnel. The plants themselves were noticeably stronger, and the soil structure became crumbly and rich. It's proof that when you give worms the food they want, they repay you by building the kind of soil plants love. The real magic isn't just that worms show up overnight. It's that they set up permanent residence when food is always available. Mulch and buried scraps create a cycle. Microbes break the matter down, worms follow the microbes, castings enrich the soil, and plants grow better, producing more organic residues. So this living loop means that the more you feed your soil naturally, the more self-sustaining it becomes. Fertilizer just can't create that cycle, but worms, well, they absolutely can. If you've been wondering why your soil feels, a bit lifeless, the answer is probably that you haven't been feeding it in a way worms appreciate. Forget about expensive soil additives or complicated systems. Just lay down organic mulch and make good use of your kitchen scraps. Those 2 steps will honestly do more to attract earthworms than anything else. And once they arrive, they'll work for you day and night, improving the soil with every tunnel and every casting they leave behind. Healthy soil is living soil, and earthworms are the clearest sign you're doing things right. If you found this guide helpful, make sure to subscribe to Botanical Bliss and, share it with your fellow gardeners. Let's keep building soils that are alive, fertile, and ready to support incredible harvests year after year.